Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
In the delicate arena of compliance, every conversation matters. Traditional methods can leave callers feeling unheard, but Ethico changes the game. Our empathetic interview technique reshapes compliance calls into powerful, compassionate interactions, ensuring no crucial detail is missed. It's about creating a conversation that matters, that resonates, that makes a difference. Be the change in your compliance approach. See the transformation for yourself at ethico.com/CPN. Book a demo, try our free ROI calculator, and explore the white paper by Tom Fox, The ROI of Compliance.
Welcome to the Daily Compliance News for August 19, 2024, the Workplace Assassin Edition. And this story is from the New York Times, and it's a really interesting take on culture. What do you do when you find out a good friend at work has behaved so unprofessionally to a colleague that she's essentially ended her career at a business while your colleague thinks it's a professional victory? Well, killing off people at the workplace is unfortunately something that goes on all the time. It's not about competitiveness, however, it's about toxicity. And when you have toxicity at the workplace, particularly in office politics, that's when culture starts to not simply suffer, but be destroyed. Next up, in a very interesting article from the Financial Times, the SEC is in a censorship row over a study of audit regulation. The SEC has been accused of censorship by forcing an academic to delay publication of her paper examining the impact of regulation on small audit firms for 9 months. The politically sensitive paper, based on 3 years of interviews with audit firm staff, was completed by Ali Zimmerman and other researchers who were on a 1-year fellowship at the SEC. She's an associate professor at Florida State University. The paper highlighted the criticism of PCAOB, and small firms complained of delays in getting feedback from the agency, indicating the regulator's inspection regime favored larger firms. Smaller firms did not have the infrastructure to respond when inspectors found audit flaws. Obviously, the PCAOB has come under a fair amount of criticism, and unfortunately, this is one more piece of it. Former Republican darling George Santos is expected to plead guilty to criminal charges. He had been facing 23 felony counts, including embezzling campaign funds, fraudulently obtaining unemployment benefits, and filing false federal disclosure acts. That story came to us from the Wall Street Journal, and our final story comes to us from Newsweek. And apparently, Vladimir Putin is shocked, yes, simply shocked, to find out that there's corruption in Russia. And he is now very concerned about corruption. So, if you're in Russia and you're engaging in bribery and corruption, you better watch out, because now the president of Russia is very concerned about your corruption. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, this month's sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Have you ever wondered how to show the ROI of your compliance program? Have you struggled with the budgeting process, getting the funds you want for your compliance program? Well, I've partnered with Ethico to put together a white paper on the ROI of compliance, which shows you not only how to demonstrate ROI, but also how to speak finance when you're sitting across from the CFO with your budget proposals. Check out the website and get the white paper. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.